Hello, welcome to our channel Learn to Score. In this video, I am going to discuss how to represent real numbers on number line. I hope you will like the video. Please subscribe to our channel for regular updates. Thank you. Before learning to represent real numbers on number line, I would like you to quickly recall what are real numbers. We learned that the numbers that are used to count objects are called natural numbers, right? They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. When you have 0 along with these numbers, what you have is whole numbers. The collection of numbers that include 0 and natural numbers together are called whole numbers, right? When you have whole numbers and negative numbers such as -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on are put together, that collection is called integers. Please note this. The ratio of integers are called rational numbers. For example, you see here 8 by 10, 1 by 2, 14 by 100. All these numbers are ratios of integers, right? These are called rational numbers. Let's further go into the details of rational numbers. The numbers that are expressed as p by q are called rational numbers, where p and q are integers. It means the numbers that are expressed as ratio of two integers are called rational numbers. Here you have to note that the denominator of the number cannot be 0, right? For example, 3 by 5, 1 by 2, -3 by 2, -6 by 2, 100 by 1, -101 by 1000. All these are rational numbers, right? Because these are ratios of two numbers, two integers, right? 3 and 5 are integers. That's why 3 by 5 is a rational number. 1 by 2 is a rational number because 1 and 2 are integers. -3 and 2 are integers. That's why -3 by 2 is a rational number, right? Rational numbers can be expressed in decimal form. That's what we learned. When you express rational numbers in decimal form, you get two different kind of decimals. One are called terminating decimals and other are non-terminating and recurring decimals. For example, 7 by 16 is a rational number. When you express that as a decimal number, what you get is 0.4375. It is called a terminating decimal because after these 4 digits, you don't have any other number coming in. 0.4375 is exactly representing 7 by 16. Please note this. 17 by 5 is 3.4. This is also called terminating decimal because after 4 there is no other number appearing here, right? And 3 by 4 is exactly equal to 17 by 5. 1 by 2 is equal to 0.5. That is also called terminating decimal, right? When it comes to non-terminating recurring decimals, you see 2 by 3 is a rational number. When you express it as a decimal number, what you see is, what you get is 0.66666 and so on, meaning you can write as many sixes after this. In the short form, it is represented as 0.6 with overbar on 6. It means 6 is repeating infinitely many number of times. Got it? And since only one digit, that is 6, is repeating, that's why this particular decimal form is said to have periodicity 1. You see, one digit is repeating, that's why periodicity of this particular number is 1. Got it? This is called non-terminating because you can write infinitely many number of sixes after this, right? And it is recurring or it is repeating. Got it? 11 by 9 is 1.222222 and so on. That is represented in the short form as 1.2 with overbar on 2. It means number 2 is repeating as many times as you want. So 11 by 9 is not exactly represented by 1.22 to 3 digits or 4 digits after decimal, right? One has to have infinitely many number of digits to represent 11 by 9 exactly. Got it? Anyway, when you say that 1.2 with over bar on 2, that is like essentially representing 11 by 9 in the exact form, because we are not saying how many digits after the decimal we are accounting for. Got it? For example, 10 by 7 is 1.428571, and so on. If you observe, 428571 is repeating, right? 6 digits are repeating. That's why we call this number has got periodicity of 6. We say that this particular number has got periodicity 6. So that's why we represent this number as 1.428571 with 4 bar on 428571. Got it? Now what we learned is one can represent rational numbers in decimal form. When you do that, you get either terminating decimal or non-terminating recurring decimal, depending upon what rational number you are representing in decimal form. Got it? Now, we just said that terminating decimals can be expressed as rational numbers, right? Meaning we said that terminating decimals can be expressed as ratio of two integers. Similarly, we also said that non-terminating but recurring decimals can be expressed as rational numbers, right? Non-terminating and recurring decimals can be expressed as ratio of two integers. That's why they are rational numbers. Now look at this. I have a number 1.01001, then 4 times 01, 5 times 01, and so on. Here there is no periodicity. For example, if you say that 01 is repeating, that is not true, right? You have 001 here, then you have 0001, then you have 401. So this is non-repeating, right? Or non-recurring in that sense, you can say. But one can write as many zeros as possible and then 1. For example, here I have written 5 zeros and 1. The next option would be 6 zeros and 1, then 7 zeros and 1, then 8 zeros and 1. It goes on. Even you can write 1 crore number of zeros, then you put 1. It means this number is non-terminating, right? So let's say that this is a non-terminating and non-recurring decimal, meaning it is not terminating. At the same time, these are not repeating. Got it? Let's consider pi. Pi is written as 3.141592 and so on. This is also a non-terminating and non-recurring decimal, meaning even if you write 1 crore digits after the decimal, there won't be any repeat pattern you could observe. That's why pi is called, the decimal expansion of pi is non-terminating and non-recurring decimal. Root 2 is 1.414213,562 and so on. This is also a non-terminating, non-recurring decimal, right? For example, what we have seen is rational numbers, when you express them as decimal form, express them in their decimal form, what you could get is terminating decimals or non-terminating but recurring decimals. But here the numbers we have seen are non-terminating and non-recurring decimals, right? These non-terminating and non-recurring decimals cannot be expressed as ratio of two integers, P and Q. That's why these numbers are called irrational numbers. For example, the numbers that can be expressed as ratio of two integers are called rational numbers, right? So the numbers which cannot be expressed as ratio of two integers are called irrational numbers. So non-terminating and non-recurring decimals are irrational numbers. Irrational numbers are represented using Q prime or S. Okay. Now we have seen that rational numbers is a collection of numbers which can be expressed as ratio of two integers, right? And We have learned about irrational numbers such as root 2, root 3, pi, etc. These are irrational numbers because these numbers cannot be expressed as ratio of two integers. Or in other words, you can say that these numbers have decimal expansion of non-recurring, non-terminating type. Got it? So when you put rational numbers and irrational numbers together, what you get is real numbers. In other words, I can say that real numbers are a collection of rational numbers and irrational numbers. Got it? Real numbers are represented using capital R. Please note this. We said that real numbers are a collection of rational numbers and irrational numbers, right? So let's now understand how to represent rational numbers on number line. For that, let's use this example. Represent 5 by 8 on the number line. 5 by 8 is a rational number, right? As you see here, we have a number line here. I have chosen number line from -1 to 2 for the convenience sake. You can have as lengthy number line as you want, right? The reason for taking only this particular limit is that, for example, you see 5 by 8, that is smaller than 8 by 8, right? 8 by 8 is 1, meaning we have 5 by 8, which is the given rational number, is less than 1. At the same time, it is greater than 0, right? That's why we are interested in the number line from 0 to 1. Got it? Let's now divide the number line between 0 and 1 into 8 equal parts. When I do that, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have made 7 blue colored lines such that I have got 8 equal parts between 0 and 1. Got it? Now, we know that 0 can be written as 0 by 8. Let me write that, right? And 1 can be written as 8 by 8. Now you see, this is going to be 1 by 8, this is going to be 2 by 8, this is going to be 3 by 8, this is going to be 4 by 8, this is 5 by 8, this is 6 by 8, this is 7 by 8. 5 by 8 is what we are asked to represent on the number line. This is what we have represented now, right? Let's take an example. Represent 29 by 6 on the number line. Okay. We know that 29 can be written as 4 times 6 plus 5, right? Here, 5 is the remainder, right? 29 is the dividend, and 6 is the divisor, and 4 is the quotient, right? Now, if I divide 29, the entire equation, with 6, I can write it as 29 by 6 equal to 4 times 6 divided by 6 plus 5 by 6. When you simplify it, you can write 29 by 6 as 4 plus 5 by 6, right? It means 29 by 6 is greater than 4. At the same time, since 5 by 6 is less than 6 by 6, 29 by 6 is less than 4 plus 1, that is 5, right? It means we need the number line between 4 and 5. Let's draw the number line now. Though I have chosen from 3 to 6, what we are interested in is 4 to 5. In between this, we'll get 29 by 6, right? Let's divide the number line between 4 to 5 into 6 equal parts. You see, the denominator is 6. That's why we are dividing the number line between 4 to 5 into 6 equal parts. Let me do that. When I do that, now I can say that this is 4 plus 0 by 6, right? This is 4 plus 1 by 6. This is 4 plus 2 by 6. This is 4 plus 3 by 6. This is 4 plus 4 by 6. This is 4 plus 5 by 6, right? Means you have 29 by 6 here. This is the representation of 29 by 6 on the number line. Got it? Let us now learn about representing irrational numbers on the number line. Let's represent root 2 on the number line. Root 2 is an irrational number because the decimal expansion of root 2 is non-recurring and non-terminating type, right? Let's represent root 2 on number line now. I have taken number line from -3 to 3, but you can take even -2 to 2 also, doesn't matter. All you have or any limit is possible as long as you can accommodate 1.414 and so on. It's always good to have 0 to 2 at least, right? Now we know that from 0 to 1, the distance between 0 to 1 is 1 unit, right? Now let me draw a vertical line from 1 of length 1 unit. For example, if you take measure of this length, that is also equal to 1 unit. Now let me connect this point with end of this line. When you do that, you get a line of length equal to root 2. I said its length is equal to root 2. How do you know? For that, let's quickly recall Pythagoras theorem. Pythagoras theorem states that in a right triangle, the square of hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of other two sides. Let us consider a right triangle, triangle ABC. Angle B is 90 degrees, right? Look at this. The side opposite to angle B, the 90 degrees angle, is called hypotenuse. Let me write this. So line AC is hypotenuse, right? Now let's take measure of sides of this triangle. AB is of length 6 units, BC is of length 8 units, and AC is 10 units. Now let's check whether whatever statement given here, square of hypotenuse is equal to sum of the squares of other two sides or not. AC square is 10 square, that is equal to 100, right? Hypotenuse square is 100. AB square is 6 square, that is equal to 36. And other side BC is 8, meaning BC square equal to 8 square, that is equal to 64. 36 plus 64 equal to 100. It means I can say that AC square equal to AB square plus BC square, right? You may say that, okay, this is right, but let's check with another triangle. Let me consider another right angle triangle, that is triangle PQR. Angle Q is 90 degrees. That's why we say that line PR is the hypotenuse for this particular triangle, right? Now let's take measure of sides of this triangle. QR is 4 units, PQ is 3 units, and PR is 5 units. PQ square is 9 square units, QR square is 16 square units, and PR square is 25. So I can now say that 9 plus 16 equal to 25. That's why PR square equal to PQ square plus QR square, right? So based on these two examples, what you can say is, in a right angle triangle, the square of hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of other two sides, right? So with that concept in mind, let's go back to our original problem. We said that this length is 1 unit and this length is 1 unit. And since we have drawn a vertical line or the line perpendicular to the number line, I can say that this is 90 degrees angle and this particular line, dotted line, is your hypotenuse. To represent it in a better way, let me call this point as A, this point as B, and this point is as C. Now AC is hypotenuse, right? AB is 1 unit, BC is 1 unit. Now, as per Pythagoras theorem, AC square equal to AB square plus BC square, right? 1 square plus 1 square is AC square, meaning this is 2, right? 1 square is 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2, right? AC square equal to 2. So AC can be written as square root of 2, right? That's what I have written here. We have AC that is equal to square root of 2. Now we could get a measure of square root of 2, right? But that is not represented on the number line. Line AC is somewhat slanting with number line, right? Now to mark root 2 on number line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a circle with center as A and radius as AC, right? If I draw a circle using compass, then that circle is cutting the number line at this point, right? Let me mark that point. That point is root 2. Understood? Now by doing this exercise, we could mark root 2 on the number line, right? Let's do similar exercise for another irrational number. Let's represent root 3 on the number line. Root 3 is also an irrational number because the decimal expansion is non-terminating and non-recurring type for root 3, right? Let's take number line. Since we said root 3 is 1.732 and so on, it is going to lie between 1 and 2. Right? That's why you need to have at least your number line up to 2. From, you can take from 0, fine. Now to represent root 3 on the number line, I'm going to first start with drawing a vertical line of length 1 unit. You see, this is 1 unit, this is 1 unit, right? When you connect these 2 points, as we have seen earlier, the length of the dotted line is root 2 units. Got it? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line of length 1 unit perpendicular to the dotted line. See, it means these two lines are making 90 degrees angle. The dotted line and newly drawn blue color line, right? Now when you connect this particular point to this point, the length of line segment connecting these 2 points is going to be root 3. This can be obtained again with the help of Pythagoras theorem. Let me mark point at 0 as A and this particular point as B and this particular point as C. Since angle B is 90 degrees, AC is hypotenuse, right? It means, as per Pythagoras theorem, AC square equal to AB square plus BC square, right? You see, AB is root 2, meaning root 2 whole square plus BC is 1 square. Root 2 whole square is 2 plus 1 square is 1. It means AC square equal to 3. AC square equal to 3. So I can say that AC equal to root 3. Got it? Now I want to represent root 3 on the number line, right? For that, what I'm going to do is taking the point A as the center and AC as the radius, I'm going to draw a circle. You see, this particular circle has cut the number line at 2 points, right? One point is root 3 and let me mark that. This side, it is going to be minus root 3. Got it? Till now, we learned to represent rational numbers and some of the irrational numbers such as root 2, root 3 on the number line, right? Let's quickly take a look at real numbers in decimal form. We said that rational numbers can be expressed as decimal numbers, right? When you do that, you get a terminating decimal or a non-terminating recurring decimal, right? We also said that irrational numbers can be written in the decimal form. In that case, you will get non-terminating and non-recurring decimal, right? We also learned that real numbers are a collection of rational and irrational numbers, right? For example, the numbers such as 1, 22 by 7, 5.6, pi, and so on are real numbers. 1 is an integer, or otherwise I can say that it is 1 by 1 a rational number. 22 by 7 is a rational number. 5.6 is a rational number. It is a terminating decimal. Pi is an irrational number. It leads to non-terminating, non-recurring decimal. Root 3, root 5, these are irrational numbers. 9 by 1 is a rational number. 12.5 is a terminating decimal. 12.5 and 2, 3 and so on is a non-terminating, non-recurring decimal. This is 10.01, 011, 0111 and so on is also a non-terminating, non-recurring decimal. Looking at this, what we could say is all the real numbers can be expressed in the decimal form, right? Let's take a note of that. We can represent rational numbers on the number line, right? And we could represent some of the irrational numbers such as root 2, root 3, etc. on number line. This is what we have learned, right? Now the question is how to represent irrational numbers such as 5.1, 12, 123 and so on, or a number like 1.73205 and so on, etc. on number line. Another question I have is how to represent rational numbers such as 2.7, 3.5888 and so on, etc. on number line. These are two rational numbers expressed in their decimal form, right? This is terminating decimal. This is non-terminating but recurring decimal, right? Here these are non-terminating and non-recurring decimals. Now how do I represent these on the number line? That's what we want to learn. We said that all the real numbers can be expressed in decimal form, right? Let us now represent real numbers in the decimal form on number line. What we have learned earlier is some of the real numbers like rational numbers given in the rational form we could represent on the number line, and we could also represent numbers such as root 2, root 3, etc. on the number line, right? Now we want to represent real numbers in the decimal form on number line using successive magnification method. Let's look at that now. Let us represent 2.7 on the number line. This is a terminating decimal, right? As you look at this, 2.7 is greater than 2 and smaller than 3, right? So let's take a look at the number line which has got the numbers 2 and 3. Rest of the number line is not important for us, right? We know that 2.7 lies in between these two numbers, meaning if you write 2.7, it is less than 3 and it is greater than 2, right? So let's zoom this particular portion of the number line. When you do that, you get a number line like this. I have starting point 2 and end point 3. I have divided it into 10 equal parts. 1, that is 2.1. This is 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 I have already marked, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, right? Now you see 2.7 is already represented on the number line, right? It is here. What we have done is, the regular number line has got only 2, 3, 4 such numbers, right? So to represent 2.7, what we have done is we have magnified this particular region and shown that as a separate number line. That is why this method is called successive magnification method. Since we could able to represent 2.7 on the number line, we are stopping here. Otherwise, we could have further magnified certain part of the number line. Let's take a look at another problem. Let us represent 2.776 on the number line. You see, this is also a terminating decimal, but it has got 3 digits after the decimal point, right? We are going to do this using method of successive magnification. As I said earlier, we are going to start with regular number line, right? That has got numbers like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now look at this. This is 2.776, right? It is greater than 2. At the same time, it is smaller than 3. So we have to zoom the portion of number line between 2 and 3, right? When I do that, I'm getting a zoomed portion like this. It has 10 subdivisions: 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, and 3, right? Look at this. I have 2.77, right? 2.776. It is going to be bigger than 2.7 and smaller than 2.8, right? So let's mark 2.7 and 2.8. So this particular part has to be now zoomed further, meaning we have to magnify this particular portion of the number line further such that it can be represented as shown here. You have 2.7 starting point and 2.8 ending point, and you have numbers like 2.71, 2.72, 2.73, 74, 2.75, 2.76, 2.77, 2.78, 2.79, and then 2.8, right? Look at this. You have 2.776. It is greater than 2.77. At the same time, it is, let me write that, it is greater than 2.77, right? And it is less than 2.78, right? We have 2.75 marked. Let me mark 2.77 and 2.78. Now we have to zoom the portion of number line between 2.77 and 2.78, right? We are magnifying this part of the number line so that I get a magnified number line as shown here. I have starting point 2.77 and ending point 2.78, right? Now we have 2.771, 772, 773, 774, 2.775, 2.776, 2.777, 2.778, 2.779, and then 2.78 or 780 for that matter, right? Now look at this. 2.776 is here. We are able to represent 2.776 on the number line, right? This is what we are asked to do. Let us now represent another number, 3.58 with overbar on 8 on the number line. 3.58 with overbar can be written as 3.5888 and so on, right? This is non-terminating but recurring decimal, right? 8 is repeating. So let's represent this on the number line. As you see here, this is 3.588 and so on is greater than 3 and smaller than 4, right? It means we have to magnify the portion between 3 and 4. When you magnify it, you get a number line like this, the magnified portion, right? Look at this. Now you have 3.588 and so on, right? This is greater than 3.5 and smaller than 3.6, right? Now let me mark 3.6. So we have to zoom the portion between 3.5 and 3.6, right? When you do that, you are getting 3.5, 3.6 as the limits for the number line, and you have now 3.51, 52, 53, 54, 3.55, 3.56, 3.57, 58, 59, and 3.6, right? Look at this, 3.588, that is greater than 3.58 and smaller than 3.59, right? It means we have to mark this particular zone and magnify it. When you do that, you get a number line like this. It starts with 3.58 and ends with 3.59, right? You have 3.581, 582, and so on, right? If you look at this, 3.588 and so on is greater than 3.588 and smaller than 3.589, right? It means we have to zoom this particular portion or we have to magnify this particular portion, because the required number 3.5888 and so on lies in between these 2 points, right? In between these 2 points. So we can stop here, otherwise we can further proceed. Now look at this. We want to zoom this particular portion. When you zoom it, you have 3.588 as the starting point of the number line and 3.589 as the ending point of the number line, right? We have number 3.5888 and so on. That is greater than 3.5888 and smaller than 3.5889, right? It means the required number is going to be falling in between these 2 lines, these 2 points. So one has to zoom this particular portion. So this process is going to repeat because the decimal is non-terminating and recurring type. This process has to continue, right, to exactly represent. However refinement, however magnification you do, you are not going to exactly represent the number, because how many ever times you magnify, still you are going to get more digits coming in, right? Because this is not non-terminating type. But anyway, to represent a given real number, whatever procedure we have learned about method of successive magnification, that is fair enough. You will be able to say that, okay, within this particular limit my number lies. Let's stop here for this particular problem and then look at another problem. Now let's represent root 3 on the number line. Okay, we have seen already this, but we want to do it in a different fashion now. We want to represent the decimal expansion of root 3 on the number line. That is 1.73205 and so on, right? So look at this. This is greater than 1 and smaller than 2, right? That's why we are interested in the number line from the range 1 to 2. So let's magnify this portion of the number line. When you do that, you get a number line like this, right? We have 1.732 and so on, right? It is greater than 1.7. At the same time, it is smaller than 1.8, right? Let's mark this particular portion of the number line and magnify it. When you do that, you get a number line like this, starting with 1.7 and set 1.8. You have numbers like 1.71, 72, 73, and so on, right? Now look at this. 1.732 is greater than 1.73. At the same time, it is smaller than 1.74, right? So we have to zoom this particular zone. When you do that, you get a number line like this, right? 1.73205, 1.73205, if you look at, that is greater than 1.732. This is actually 1.7320 also, you can say, and smaller than 1.733, right? Meaning root 3 lies in between these 2 points. So let's zoom this particular region of the number line. When you do that, you get a number line like this, 1.732 it is starting from, and it is up to 1.733. right? Now you have, look at this, 1.73205. It is greater than it is greater than 1.7320 and smaller than 1.7321, right? It means the regime or the zone which has to be magnified is lying between these 2 points, right? When you magnify it, you get a number line like this. 1.7320 is the starting point, and it is up to 1.7321, right? You look at this, 1.7320. For example, up to only this particular part is there, then we have directly representation available on this number line. But it is not stopping here, right? It is going as 1.73200508. It means it is greater than this particular number and smaller than 1.73206, right? To represent root 3, we have to zoom this particular regime further, or we have to magnify this particular part of the number line, right? Even if you do that, it is not going to end. So one has to continue like this. But to understand the method, what we have to do is we have to zoom, or we have to magnify certain part of number line so that you can further proceed with representing finer and finer details of the given real number. Got it? I hope you like the video. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel Learn to Score. Thank you.